In this video, I'm going to look at some PowerShell scripts that sort of split up a string into an array. And then I'm also going to do sort of the equivalent of a join at the end. And so I start with this first little program. I have some string. I just wrote out the alphabet. And then I'm going to use a split. I'm going to split it on sort of no delimiter, and that's going to just create an array of letters. And then I'm going to print before and after, and then loop through that array. So I have some counter I, $i equals 0, $i less than the length of the letters, and then increment the counter and print out the letters square bracket I. So it's turned into an array. And then I'm going to print out after. And I want to show you one odd feature of PowerShell split. So let me run this. There we are. And you see here my before, and then there's a space, and there's my Z, and then a space, and then after. So in the splitting, it has created an element at the sort of beginning and an element at the end as well. So it split A from B and B from C, but it's also sort of done a split at the beginning and at the end, which is sort of an unusual. Sort of most languages won't give you those beginning and ending elements that we got here. So that's the first one. So one thing I want to do is get rid of those elements and then sort of join it back up, but choose a different delimiter. So that's sort of my goal here. No real purpose in this other than to learn about splitting and joining, which can be useful. Okay, so let me go over to version 2. And once again, I'm splitting it. So let's just run it first, then explain it. So now I have, again, had the alphabet and split it, and the same for loop. And this time on my right host, I said PowerShell is usually very verbose, so it's pretty obvious. Then what this option does, no new line, is not giving me a new line in my right host. And I'm printing out the letters I, and then with a after, oops, I didn't want to do that. And then afterward, adding a comma and a space. So that's all this new line. And then in 7, I said right host, quote, quote, that all my previous right hosts were not putting me on a new line. And so this got me on a new line. And then 8, I'm using get type to show me the type of things. And it told me that it was a string, and then the square brackets are indicating an array. So I have an array of strings. All right, so then what's next? So what was new there? New line and get type. So those were the new features of version 2. And we just want to see, and I'm going to have to change the type. I can't do, as I said, I wanted to get rid of that weird thing at the beginning and the weird thing at the end, but it doesn't want me in an array to get rid of any elements. And so I have to switch over to a list. So that's what version 3 does. So let me run that. Here's version 3, and I'm printing out the types, and one of them was the array of strings, and then the other one is a list, and a list has more methods, more capability than the array. And then we see here I print out ultimately my list elements, and I've managed to get rid of the beginning and the end. So I had my alphabet. I split my alphabet. I showed its type in line 3. That was the string square bracket. So the array of strings. In line 4, that is my casting. I take my letters, and I'm doing a getting letters 2 from letters, and that's going to be a list of strings. So I'm getting a list of strings, and then I got the type of letters 2, which was showing me now that it was this list. Then with the list, I got to remove at element, and I can remove the 0th item. That's the first one. And I can remove, again, it's 0 based. So the last one will be letters 2.count -1. That will be the last index. And note, when we had an array, we used length. Over here when we were looping over an array, we used length. And when we switched over to a list, we made it count. So that is, in addition to the additional methods available in the list, we go from length to count. I'm looping over the list and writing them out with no new line. So we see that down there. Finally, version 4, I'm going to, at least in printing out, I'm going to give it a new delimiter. So here I was printing out in a loop, but I can print out with some implied loop rather than an explicit loop, using the sort of this minus separator, which I'm going to call a join. Okay, so let's run version 4 and see it and then explain it. Let me just clear down here, run version 4, and we see here's my alphabet with the little weird thing at the beginning and the end gone, and I'm printing it out with 2 different delimiters, a comma and a space, and then just a vertical bar. So the beginning is the same. Start with the alphabet, split it, that produced an array. I have cast my array into a list, and then I can remove the first and last item from the list. And then if I'm writing out the entire list with a separator, then I don't need the loop. The loop will be implied. The system will take care of the loop. And I can have different separators. And then I can do this and sort of put this into a new variable if I wanted to, again, sort of, I don't know, change delimiters from the original. I can also, once I have a list, I can remove things. I can also add things to the list and so on. So that's what I wanted to show you in this example. Thanks for your attention.